What do you think is the connection, John, between this ego pride thing, martial arts, and actual violence with our ancestors? Do
Mm.
you think you ever plug into that? Do you think there's echoes of something going on there, or like you mentioned, you have flaws and demons? Is it deep in there somewhere? Do you think
Um,
we're struggling with those demons?
yeah, you'll need to patch up your question a little bit, though. It's going in several
You
different
can't just.
directions.
Wow, that was not only am I being dominant in jiu-jitsu, I'm being dominant in interviewing.
No,
You
but
guys
I'm not
patched
trying.
up that question.
No.
The
It's
Step Brothers
true.
scene where they're like, okay, now we interview you.
but you went down the evolutionary
Bob Lazar,
angle,
what do you think?
And
No, I mean, do you I don't mean just the line between what is martial arts and what is violence. I mean, there seems to be a gray area that connects us to the evolutionary ancestors.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think there's a deep recognition in all of us that, and this is the evidence for this is so easy to see in daily life. If you're walking down the street and suddenly you hear a commotion and two people are fighting, you will see literally everyone on that street stop whatever they're doing and watch the fight. Humans are fascinated by violence, and you've got to ask yourself why. And of course, it's a recognition that for a significant part of our evolutionary history, violence was one of the most important elements in human existence. As much as we curse it, as much as we talk badly of it, the juxtaposition between humans' social nature and their need for each other to get along and to express love amongst the various members of a given community. There are disputes between humans that can't be resolved, and ultimately, throughout history, violence has been the number one method of conflict resolution, for better or for worse. And there's a recognition in all of us that this is where we come from. And there's a reason why combat sports have this thing where people will watch them and they might even be repulsed by them, but they find it difficult to take their eyes from it. And I do believe that most combat athletes carry that sense of their, even if it's on a subconscious level, this kind of belief that this is who we are. George, you used the word pride, and I believe that's a big part of it. I believe that most humans have this sense of self-worth and pride, which they're willing to fight for. And if it gets crossed by someone else, they're willing to stand. Some people will stand more early and some people will be pushed further back, but everyone's got that line beyond which they won't be pushed. And there's some kind of deep recognition in all of us that we have that somewhere within us, no matter how hard we try to bury it or what have you. And that's why I believe there will always be this eternal interest in combat sports. Now, I don't believe that most people today have any kind of respect for unrestricted violence or non-consensual violence. I think most good people are repulsed by that, and I'm sure that as humanity improves out into the future, that will become more and more widespread. But that's not to say we can't exercise these old evolutionary demons inside of us, and sometimes there are just disputes between different people, different cultures, different nations, where ultimately it's going to come to into a shoving match, and that will degenerate further into violence. There's always going to be a need for humans to be able to express themselves through violent methods and to use physical force to get to their goals and objectives. Our need as humans is always to find a balance between the two forces of conflict and cooperation. We need cooperation because humans isolated from each other are more or less helpless and useless. In order to advance, human communities need to build and grow. And so that sense of cooperation occurs in most of our daily lives. But there will also be irresolvable conflicts where physical force has to be used to form a resolution. And so most human beings find themselves swinging like a pendulum between conflict and cooperation. And that is something which really gives birth, I think, to combat sports.